Alright guys, so today we're going to continue working on our Twitter clone project, and I'm going to be honest, everything that we did in the last video basically was just practice. I changed my mind a little bit. Instead of doing everything manually, I'm just going to I'm going to use Passport to authenticate everything. So my goal for today is to get Passport authentication set up, and hopefully session is the session as well. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First thing we need to do is we need to initialize Passport. So we're going to do a app.use and we're going to pass in passport.initialize, and we're going to call that function. And then after that, we're going to do an app.use again. This time we're going to pass in the session. So it's going to be passport.session. We're going to call that function. After that, we are going to create the new local strategy. So we're going to come down here, and we're going to say passport.use, and we're going to say new local strategy. All right, and this we first have options, which the options we don't need to pass in any options. Options will be passed in with an object like this, and options could be stuff like username field, like what you call the username field, the password field, what you call the password field, stuff like that. But we don't need any of those options because those are already set to the defaults on the front end whenever we pass to the back end. So we are going to create the callback. We're going to pass in the username. We're going to pass in the password. And we're also going to pass in a done function. And every time that we are done with something, we're going to call the done function. All right, so we are going to, inside this callback function here, we need to create a query. So db.query. All right, and then our query string is going to be select star from users where email, because we have to check the email and the phone to see which one is being used. And we're only going to have one because we're only passing one in on the front end. We don't have to worry about creating multiple queries for that. We'll check, see if email is equal to let's see, if email is equal to the username, or if phone is equal to the username. All right, and that's going to be our query. So we'll pass in our callback function as normal, and this is going to contain error, results, and fields, just like normal, and our error function. And this is actually going to be an async function. It's going to be in, we're going to need to use the await keyword in here. So first thing we want to do is we want to check for an error. So if there's an error, we just want to return done and passing in the error. All right. Next thing we need to do is we need to check the results to see if we have a user that matches either the email or the phone number. So we're actually going to check if we don't have a user. So if we don't have results, and remember this is what this thing right here always trips me up. It's returns an array. So we need to check the results of index 0 and check the ID. If we don't have a results index 0 .id, we are going to return done, and we're not going to have an error, so we're going to pass it null for the error, and we're going to pass in false for the user, and then we can also pass in a message here that we can be displayed on the front end that says user does not exist. All right, and then we're gonna next thing we need to do, so if we get past this, that means we don't have an error. If we get past this, that means we do have a user. So we that means we do have a user. So we're going to check now. We're going to compare the passwords and see if we have if the passwords are the same. So we're going to check. We're going to say await bcrypt dot compare, and we're going to pass in the password. Password. We're going to pass in the password, and we are going to pass in the results index 0 password. And this password, since it is JSON data, we need to stringify it so we can check to make sure it's the same, the stringified version. If we don't do that, it's not going to come back correct. So if we do, if that comes back true, that the passwords are the same, we are going to return done, returning this done function, passing a null because we don't have an error, and we're going to pass some results index 0, and that should be it. Yeah, because we'll pass in the user into here, and if we don't, or if the passwords don't match, we're going to say else return. We're going to say done again. We're going to say null for an error because we don't have an error. We're going to say false because we do have a user, but the passwords don't match, so we cannot return a user if the passwords don't match. And then we can also pass in a message here that can be used on the front end saying password incorrect. All right. So if we save that, now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go down here, and we are going to go down here, and we actually are going to pass in a middleware. It's called we're going to call Passport.authenticate. Passport.authenticate, and we are going to pass in the strategy, which is going to be a local. We're going to pass in the local strategy into here, which will authenticate our user whenever we hit this post route. So a request will be sent from the front end. It'll be, the request will be a post request going to /sign-in. It'll hit this middleware and say authenticate this user using the local strategy. then it'll come up here to Passport, and it'll say Passport.use, and this is the local strategy that we're using. And then it will authenticate the user. It'll check, it'll query the database using the username that we passed in. And then when the results come back, we will check the results. If we have an error, we'll return the done function, passing in the error. If we don't have an error, it'll then check to see if we have a user that exists. So it's checking to see if there is a user on index 0 of the results with an ID. And it's checking to see if that's not present. If it's not present, then we're going to return the done function, passing in null, because we don't have an error. And we're going to pass in false because we don't have a user either. And we're going to pass in this message saying that user doesn't exist that we can use on the front end. If we get past that, we are then going to go to this if statement, and we're going to compare. If we get to this if statement, that means we do have a user. We are then going to take in the password that was passed in. We're going to stringify that password, and we're going to call bcrypt.compare. It's going to compare the password that the user typed in with the password hash that's saved in the database. And we're just accessing that via the results index0.password. All right, and if that is correct, we will return the done function, passing in null because we don't have an error, and we will just pass in that entire user object. If the passwords are not correct, we'll go to the else statement, meaning that the password is incorrect. We'll we'll return the done function, pass in null saying we don't have an error, and passing in false saying that we can't return a user either, and our message is password is incorrect. All right, so after that, we need to then serialize the user. So we're going to say passport.serialize user. All right, we need a callback function, and we need to pass in the user to be serialized, and we need to pass in the done function. So then we will create the callback here, and we will just call done, passing in null for an error, and we will pass in the user.id. Now remember, we are passing in, so whenever we get through this, it's going to return this done function, and it's passing in the object. So it's going to this here is going to be passed as user here, so we can directly access that ID without having to without it actually returning the entire array. So after we do that, we also need to deserialize the user. So we're going to say passport.deserialize user, and we are going to pass in another callback function, and we need to check. We need to get the ID. The ID is passed in from here. So this done function sends to this deserialized user. We're passing in the ID here, and we're accepting the ID here. And we also need that done function, and creating our callback. Now we're going to check if there's an error. All right. Actually, no, I lied. We're going to query the database because we need to get that whole user object. db.query, and we are going to create our query. It's going to say select star from users where ID is equal to this ID that we passed in. All right, so here I'll finish this real quick. So then we need our callback function for our query. I'm just going to put this on a new line. This is going to say we're going to pass in the error, the results, and the fields. I still have not figured out what this fields is. I don't know if it's required or if it's optional, but I'm still going to continue to pass it in just in case. It's not hurting anything by me not using it. Now we're going to check if there's an error, and if there is an error, we're just going to return that done function, passing in the error. If there is no error, then we're going to return the done function again, passing in null and results. All right. So, and I think we need to pass results index 0. And that'll be so that we can access that user object without needing to access it through the array again. I understand why they return an array, but it's kind of annoying for stuff like this. Either way, we're going to go ahead and save that. All right, and then we are going to go down here. We're going to get rid of this here because we don't need this anymore. Now, as long as we get through the serialize and deserialize, once we get to deserialize and we return this done function and the results, it will add a request.user. It'll add a user property to the request object. So we can now check in our get function if request.user. If we have a request.user, we are going to say res.render, and we are going to render the login, or what is it, index underscore feed. All right, because that's where we're going to send all of the authenticated users is straight to the feed. If we don't have a request.user, we're going to say else res.render, and we're going to render the index underscore login, which if we don't have a user, it should be undefined by default. And I will add a console.log here of the request.user, and we will be able to see that whenever we go to the login routes, and whenever we log in, we will be able to see that user object logged to the console. Next, we need to go back down here, and we've got the authenticate request. That's so basically the way this works. We'll walk through it because I had a good bit of trouble kind of understanding this for a while. I still am not crystal clear on it, but I have a general idea of how it works. So when we send the request will be generated on the front end. The request is going to include, let's see. The request is going to include the username and the password. Now that's going to be a key value pair sent from the front end, like right here with this fetch request. We're creating the object called data, and inside of that data object, we're using username as the key and usn.value, which is getting the value from this box here. And then we are passing in the password with the key name of password, and the value is going to be pwd.value, which we're just selecting usn and pwd up here, which will be these two boxes here. All right, we're saving that in that data object. Next, we're going to create that fetch request, going to /sign-in. It's going to be a post request. The headers is application type of JSON. Redirect follow. I'm gonna keep it there. I don't know if it's really needed, but either way. And then the body is going to be that data stringified. All right. And then that request is going to be sent off to the backend. To this post, app.post/sign-in. It's going to hit this passport.authenticate, and it's going to look for the strategy that we're using. We're using the local strategy, so it's going to come up here, and it's going to it's already initialized Passport, and it's already initialized the session. Next is going to look for all of these ones that start with passport dot. Passport.use, passport.serialize, and passport.deserialize the user. First thing it's going to do is look at this passport.use. It's going to create the new local strategy. All right. And it's passing in the username, the password, and the done. Now it's going to pass that in from down here. It's going to look at that request.body, and it's going to look for any the two fields, the username and the password field. And if we wanted to change that, we could change that here with options. We could pass that in as options here, but we're not going to do that. So it's going to say, we're going to say passport.authenticate, the local user. It's going to pass in that request.body, these two values. And then we're going to create a database query. We're also going to pass in that done function. Now that done function needs to be called every time that you're done with something. So whether it's an error or just passing it to the next function, it's kind of like saying, all right, go on to the next one. So in this callback function, we're going to create a query. We're going to say select star from users, and we're going to check the email, see if the email is equal to username, and we're going to check the phone to see if the phone is equal to this username that was passed in. If this is still going to run, so it's going to say it's going to be an async function because we need to use the await keyword. But we're going to create this callback, passing in the error, results, and fields. We're going to check to see if we have an error. If we do have an error, it's going to return done, passing in the error, and that'll be the end of that request. If we don't have an error, it'll come down to this next if function or if statement, and it's going to check to see if we have a results at index0.id. Everything should be at index 0 whenever we're querying from user information from the database, because there should only be one user per username, so email, phone, and whenever we get to it, username as well. So we're gonna check to see if we have an ID on that result. If we don't, this if function is going to say true, and we're going to go into it returning done. We're going to pass in null because we don't have an error. We did not have an error. That would be an error on the server side with the request here. But we don't have an error. We're going to pass in false because we can't find a user, and we're going to pass in the message saying user does not exist. If this is false, that means we do have a user, and then we're going to check to see if the passwords match. So we're going to wait bcrypt.compare. We're going to stringify the password that was sent from the front end, because remember, it is a JSON object. Then we're going to check the results index0.password. That's going to be the password we pulled from the database, and it's going to compare the two. If that is true, if it returns true and they do match, we're going to return done, passing in null and results index 0. If it is not the correct password, we're going to return the done function, passing a null because we don't have an error, false because we don't have a user, and we're going to pass in a message saying password incorrect. So if we do have a user and the passwords do match, we are going to call the done function, and this done function is going to look up for the next middleware, which is going to be passport.serialize user, and we're going to pass this done function is going to call this here. We're passing in the user here, all right, and it's going to be accepted as user here, and we're also passing in that done function directly from Passport. And we're just going to go ahead and call that done function, passing in null for any errors, because we shouldn't have an error at this point, and the user.id. Now that user.id is the same thing that was passed in right here. So this whole thing is equivalent to this user right here, and we're just going to grab the ID off of that, and then this done function is going to go to this deserialize user function, and we're going to pass in that ID. It's going to be accepted from this done function here, and we're also going to call or pass in the done function again. Now we are going to again query the database and find where user is equal to that ID, and we are going to create our callback function, and we're going to check if we have an error coming from the database, like the database query. If we do, we're just going to return done with the error. If we don't, we're going to return done, passing in null for error, and results index 0 as the user ID, or the user object again. And then it is this done function will go back down here and say we're all good, go ahead and continue. It's going to append, it's going to add a user object to the request object. Now this user object is going to be this results user object here, all right, and it's going to go back down here, and we're going to go ahead and redirect to the home page /. Now when we redirect, we should have a value on that request.user. So now whenever we go to we redirect to /, we should have a request.user value. So when we check if request.user, we're going to render the feed, and if we don't have a user saved in the session, we are then going to render the index login, which is the login page here. So now that we've got everything implemented for session, I think everything is added in correctly. So we're going to go ahead and save again. Can't ever save too much. I'm going to refresh here, and we're going to go through everything one by one. We're going to create a new user. We're going to call him Joe, and we're going to use an email. So joe@joe.com. All right, and we're going to add in birthday. Next. Verification code will come later. And the password is going to be Joe the Man. Alright, it's going to be just like that, Joe the Man. Click sign up. Alright, so it looks like, I'm not too sure if it worked or not. Let's see if that posted to the database. Yeah, so it looks like it did post to the database. Now we're going to go ahead and sign in. So we're going to use joe@joe.com. And the fetch request came back correct, that we do have a username with joe@joe.com. And we're going to type in the password, Joe the Man. Alright, just like that. And we're going to click login. And it doesn't, looks like we have a syntax error. Let's see. So let's go up to let's see, where is it making its complaint? Let's see. So let's see. Select star from users where email is equal to username or phone is equal to username. Okay, so let's, is there, so this, I wonder if it's just an issue with a end semicolon. Let's try that again. So if we click sign in, we'll find joe@joe.com. Click next, and we're going to say Joe the Man again. Click login, and it does not look like that was our issue. Let's see. So select star from users. I'm just looking for typos. Where email is equal to username. I wonder, let's see, I wonder if the, it shouldn't be an issue. Let's do, I wonder if I need to stringify that. Let's try that. Stringify, and we're going to do that here as well. Not here. JSON.stringify, and let's see if that yields us any different results. I see. Okay. So it was just an issue that it was not being stringified. Okay. That works. I don't like the way that this does this here. Oh well. So now if we try that one more time, let's just do Tim. And Tim's phone number is going to be 12345678990. Alright, and we're going to give him birthday and validation code, and it's going to be Tim is awesome. Alright, just like that. Tim is awesome. Alright, we're going to hit sign up. Now I wonder where these undefined console logs are coming from. Let's do a search for console.log. And I guess it would be coming from the request.user. That would be my guess. So if we do a sign in of 12345678990, click next, and we do Tim is awesome, click login, and it looks like it worked perfectly fine. Now, the one thing that I'm a little concerned about is that it looks like it's making 3 requests to the default route, and then it's making what looks like another 2 requests on the login. So let's see if we can figure out why that is. I would assume that has something to do with the front end here, because remember we implemented this here. So let's try commenting that out. Let's try refreshing the page. Alright, so it looks like it did make 1 request this time to the front end. Let's refresh one more time. Let's actually do this. Alright, so let's refresh. Okay, so it looks like it says shows up undefined. Let's do one more of Jim. Jim's phone number is going to be 09876543321, and we're going to give Jim a birthday here, validation code, and we're going to do Jim. Alright, just like that. Jim. Alright, click sign up, and it does look like it made a second request. So let's see where that request is coming from. Let's do a search for a console.log. Actually, it wouldn't be a console log on the front end. Let's I wonder if this redirect follow has anything to do with it. let's see. Let's try to get rid of the redirect follow. We'll save that. And I'm actually going to clear the database again because so I can get those usernames and everything back. So now if we do a query, there shouldn't be anything in the database other than our default first 1,000 users. Now let's see. We're gonna save again just to restart the server. We're gonna refresh, and it looks like it did make one request to the home route, the slash. All right, and we're gonna make. All right, we're gonna do this one. All right, verification code, password. Oops. Password is going to be Kyland123. Just like that. We're going to hit sign up. And it does not seem that that fixed it. So let's take a look. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this sign up is actually coming from this page here. So let's see if we can figure out where we're making that request. So I don't know. I don't know if this would be an issue here. I don't think so. It doesn't seem. It doesn't seem like this stuff is logging to the console. So it seems like it happens whenever we hit the sign up button. So I would assume that's the send form data to the post request to /sign up. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see if we get anything on here. So let's do Tim. Actually, I'm gonna refresh the page here. I'm gonna clear the console, or I'm gonna restart the server. I'm gonna refresh the page here. It looks like it makes one request, which it should. All right, we're gonna do Tim, and Tim is going to use his email, tim@tim.com, and give Timmy here a birthday. And we're just going to do Tim the man, just like that. All right. It's Tim the man, not Timmy the man. Sign up. All right, so yes, it looks like it is making two requests, and I actually didn't see the log here on the front end if it logged anything. So let's do this. Let's see if we comment out that. Let's refresh. All right, and we're going to do Joe again. Joe's email is going to be joe@joe.com. All right. And we're going to give Joe here a birthday. And his verification code. Joe is going to be Joe is awesome. Just like that. All right, we're going to hit sign up. And yes, it does look like that was the issue. So we are so we are hitting that route, um, but it's not refreshing the page. I wonder if that was put into the database. Yeah, it looks like Joe was put into the database. But it did not refresh the page because um, we didn't have this reload right here. So let's see. Let's actually do this instead. So let's do this instead. We are going to create a middleware, and if I remember Express middleware, correctly, I think it's just a function, or it's an app.use, passing and request, response, and next. Um, so let's create a couple middleware here. We'll create a app.use, and actually we need a name for the middleware, I think, isn't it? How do we create a named middleware? Application level middleware. Router level middleware. Is that what I want? No, that is not what I want. I just want to create let's see, writing middleware. Yeah, so it looks like it's just a regular function that you can write. So let's try this here. Let's do a function is authenticated. All right, we're going to take in the request, the response, and next. All right, and we are going to say if request dot is authenticated. Now it is authenticated a is it a function that I need to call, or is it a function I need to point to? Let's see. So let's do this. Passport. Let's see. Passport.js. Passport.js request dot is authenticated. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Middleware right here. So let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Um. 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 I'm just thinking here, because if I create this middleware, and I call it here, I'm just gonna call next, and I can't, since I am using the index route or the root route for both the login and the feed, I might want to create another separate route. How do I want to go about that? Because I want this page, whenever you sign up, the end goal is whenever you hit sign up, it automatically takes you to the feed. But I can't just re-render this exact page, because it's just going to take me back here. So I don't know how I'm gonna fix that. Let me think on this for a few minutes, and I will I'm gonna think on this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've played around with this a little bit. I kind of get a little sidetracked, but what I've done here basically is I've got two functions. Neither of these functions are being used currently, but they will be used in the future. I've got a check authenticated method of middleware that checks to see if the user is authenticated. If the user is authenticated, it just goes through. If they're not authenticated, they're going to be redirected to the home, the root slash this right here. And then I've also got a method or a function middleware to check if they're not authenticated. Basically, this will be used for, I don't even know what, truthfully. I may not even need it, but I wrote it anyway. Basically, it does the exact opposite. If the user is not authenticated, it redirects them to slash. Otherwise, it just goes to the next middleware. Like I said, I'm probably not going to use those, but what I did do is when a user signs up, so whenever they hit the slash sign up route, I didn't change any of this, but instead of just sitting statically on the page, what I did was, as long as the insert went through properly, I had to make another query. I couldn't find a way around not making another query. So I created another query that just takes the results ID, the insert ID from where it inserted the new user, and I search for that ID in the database. It'll return the results for that. It should return the new user that was just inserted into the database. And I'm calling request.login and passing in the results here. And then if it successfully logs in, the user, we are just going to send a res.send status of 200 back to this page. And then whenever it gets a status of 200 on the sign up page, it's going to, I'm just checking to see if the response is okay, which, you know, is a 200 status code. If it is, then I'm just going to say, I'm just having the page reload itself, which will trigger another GET request to the default slash route, and then now that the user is logged in using this request.login, it will have a request.user, it'll have the user on the request object, so we will then just render the index feed. And I've still got it set up so that if there is no user, when it hits the slash route, it'll just come right back here, rendering the index login page. I may change this in the future. I really don't know. I could just, you know, just as easily create another route that slash feed or whatever. But I wanted to make things more complicated like I always do. Alright, so now that we've got everything implemented, I think we need to do a little bit of cleanup. We need to implement the session store as well. I've been reading up on this Express MySQL session package here, and it looks like it is compatible with the MySQL 2 that we package that we are using. So we should be able to implement this pretty easily and quickly. So let's see if we can get this pulled in here. Let's go to here, change that to const. Alright, and then we'll pull in we'll do const session store options. Alright, and we are working on localhost. The user is going to be root. The password is going to be this here. And the database is going to be this here. Alright, and then the port, I think it is the default port of 3306. And then I think we should be able to just do this here, hopefully. And we need to, this is going to be db.createPool, passing in the session store options. Alright, and session store is equal to new MySQL store, and passing in the connection. Alright, and let's see. Let's see if this works. It looks like it has crashed already. Let's see what we cannot find module. Oh, that's because I have not installed the module. Let's do this. npm I express my SQL session. All right. And cannot access DB before initialization. Okay, so let's take all of this here, cut it all out, and we're going to put it right here. We'll save and see that we've crashed again. db.createPool is not a function. Okay, so let's see. So let's see here. Let's pull this up. I wonder if this is on. I wonder if this is on GitHub. Let's see. Yeah, repository is here. That's not what I want. Let's see here. Let's see if we can find. Okay, so it's telling us that we need on here. It's telling us that we need to grab /promise from the MySQL 2 package. So let's do that. Let's do that and see if that works. All right, and then let's see. And then it says to create a connection and grab MySQL2.createPool. So MySQL2, let's save that. And it looks like it's working. Let's do this real quick. Let me pull up the MySQL workbench. Alright, now let's clear the database again. Let's let's restart the server, refresh the page, click sign. I don't want to sign in, I want to create a new user. So let's say it's Kyland. Alright, next, verification code. And password's just that. Alright, looks like everything went as planned. Now, if the session store is correctly implemented, I should theoretically be able to restart the server. And okay, it does not look like it worked then. Do I need to pass in, let's see. Let's see. if we can pass in session store. Okay, so it does crash the app before initialization. Wait, what? Oh, duh. Alright, let's see if this will work again. Let's see. Ignoring invalid configuration option passed to connection store. This is currently a warning, but in future versions, MySQL 2, an error will be thrown if you pass an invalid configuration option to a connection. Okay, so it is not a valid configuration option. Let's go to let's go to the package here. And let's see if we can find the options. Okay. Now, it says it should work like this. You'll need to create and pass an instance of MySQL 2 connection object as follows. Alright. So it seems that we did everything correctly. MySQL store dot options. We need to pass in the options here. So it shows that it's just an empty object. But I don't know what kind of options it's referring to. Session store options. Okay, let's try this. Session store options. Right, let's see if that'll work. Oops. Okay, that didn't seem to work. Okay, something's broke with that. We'll have to fix that. But if we refresh, yeah, it's still not working. Let's see if we can find store. Okay, so there's no session store available in this package, apparently. What am I doing wrong here? What am I doing wrong here? Wait a minute. Am I just an idiot? I think I am just an idiot. Hang on. I may just be an idiot. All right, let's go back here. Seems to be already working. That's fantastic. If I save, refresh, and yeah, it seems to be working. And let's actually, to test this, I actually want to, let's see. First things first, I actually want to go down here, and if we have a user, I want to pass in user is request.user, and I should have access to that as locals on the front end. And what I also want to do is create a log out route. Request.logout. Now let's Passport.js logout. I think all I have to do is call the logout function. Everything else, I think, yeah. Passport exposes a logout function on request, also alias as logout with a capital O, that can be called from any route handler which needs to terminate the login session. Invoking logout will remove the request.user property and clear the login session, if any. It is a good idea to use post or delete requests instead of get requests for the logout endpoints in order to prevent accidental or malicious logouts. Yeah, it looks like I just need to pass in a callback function. And I don't even think I need a callback function, in all honesty. Passing in the error if we have an error. If error, we're going to return next error, and res.redirect to slash. Alright, and this should, if I now go to slash log out, O-U-O-U-T, log out, no, I cannot do that because I need and it needs to be a post request, obviously. So let's do this real quick. Let's go to, we don't need that anymore. We can actually minimize that. Okay, so the feed right here, this is just going to be temporary for now, but I'm going to have a form action of slash log out, and it's going to be a method of post, And in this form, we're just going to have a button that says log out. Type equals submit. Alright, we'll save, we refresh, we got the logout button, and also I want to see if I can access the oh, it's been a minute since I've used DJS. Okay, so this is the syntax for I should have access to user.name. Yeah, there we go. So I'm passing the locals into the front end if we have a user. When we render the index feed, when we check to make sure we have a user, we're rendering the index feed and we're passing in the key of user, which this will be available on the front end, and this is the value. So it's basically this is the variable and this is the value, and this will be available on the front end for an alias of this. So instead of request.user, instead of accessing request.user.name on the front end, I'm just passing in request.user as user, and this user variable is going to have all of the user properties that this does. So now I can access user.name on the front end, and I should, there we go, we got the logout route working now. Now if I sign in, alright, I hit next, I type in my password, hit login, and I've got to fix the login button apparently. And it looks like it works perfectly fine. I can restart the server, no issues whatsoever. I refresh, even after I've restarted the server, everything works still. I click log out, it sends that post request to /logout, and it calls the request.logout function, which will log out the user and remove the request.user, and it'll redirect to /, and then once it redirects to the /, it will no longer have a request.user, so it'll run this instead, index_login. Alright, so let's see if we can get the login button fixed. I'm assuming it's, let's see, so if basically it looks like what I'm doing here is I'm redirecting to the exact same place that it is currently at. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to send res.send status of 200, and when I send the status to the front end to the login page, this is the sign up. I need the sign in, so give me the sign in page. So I'm just going to take this right here. Alright, if I refresh, that should hopefully properly work now. So I'm just sending a status code of 200 once we properly log in. And if I click the login button now, it sends the status code of 200 to the front end, and it tells, not this, we get an okay response, so it just tells it to reload the current page, which will give us our logged in session. Fantastic. Now there's a couple other things that we need to just clean up. So let's see. We need to get rid of this. We no longer need that. Validate user data. Everything should be fine on that. I think that'll be fine. Everything looks good here. The one thing I think... I think... what is it? I know the bcrypt stuff. Anything that I'm using bcrypt on, I need to wrap in a try-catch block, just in case. So wherever I'm using bcrypt at, I need to wrap that in a try-catch. So I need to go up to the Passport.authenticate method. Yeah, right here. So we're gonna wrap this in a try, and TCH. Now I think we wrap that there, and let me see here real quick. Pull this off real quick. Let's go to, that's what I want. Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at something else. And the catch block. What am I going to pass into the... I need to pass the error into the catch block. So I need to, if we have an error, I basically want to pass this in without the if statement. So we want to return done, passing in the error. Now that should be fine. Let's see. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Now, the check authenticated method. I actually want to add that to the logout route, because we don't want to be posting to /logout unless we are already authenticated. Check authenticated, and that should still work perfectly fine, and it does. So if I sign in one more time, alright, I click login, refresh, everything works perfectly fine, restart the server, refresh again, everything still works. I post to /logout, and we should be good. Alright. I think that's all I needed to clean up for now. I want to get all of the main functionality working first, and then we will come back to extra stuff like the Google sign-in and the Apple sign-in. That should be pretty simple with Passport packages. I just have to do a little research. I've never used them before, but it shouldn't be super difficult to get that implemented whenever the time comes. but we will call that for the day. When in the next video, I'm probably going to be working on the feed page. It's probably going to be another couple videos of HTML and CSS. I just want to be able to create the feed on this page. Yeah, that's basically about it for this video. So I want to thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, I've got more videos on my on my page. So make sure you subscribe and check them all out. I will continue to upload more videos more frequently. So I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good one. I'll see you in the next one.